Academic integrity is fundamental to your success as a student. But what is academic integrity and why is it important? At Anza College, our mission as educators is to help you develop your intellect, character, and abilities, to realize your goals, and to be socially responsible leaders in your communities. Academic integrity is central to that mission. Imagine hearing the words of a speech or reading a paper and realizing it is your work but under another name. As you struggle to meet deadlines and have easy access to resources from peers and on the internet, creating original work and giving proper credit where it is due gets difficult. Copying something without crediting it is always unacceptable. In both the worlds of academics and in business, the consequences for plagiarism are great. Students who unfairly take the work of others and pass it off as their own cheat themselves and others. Students who plagiarize typically receive a failing grade for their assignment and, depending on the severity, possibly a failing grade for the course. Now that we have discussed the importance of integrity both in academia and life, let's examine some of the ways you as a student could be committing academic dishonesty. According to the Anza College Student Handbook, the most common kinds of academic dishonesty are cheating and plagiarism. The handbook defines cheating as the act of obtaining or attempting to obtain credit for academic work through the use of dishonest, deceptive, or fraudulent means. Under this definition, you cannot copy in part or in whole from someone else's test, submit work presented previously in another course if contrary to the rules of either course, use or consult any sources during an examination, consult with others during an examination, use electronic equipment including cell phones and PDAs, or use materials not authorized by the instructor during an examination. Plagiarism is defined as representing the work of someone else as your own. In other words, plagiarism is the act of copying or replicating someone else's ideas or words without clearly acknowledging the source of that information. This can include incorporating the ideas, words, sentences, paragraphs, or parts of another person's writings without giving appropriate credit and representing it as your own. Representing another's artistic or scholarly works such as musical compositions, computer programs, photographs, paintings, drawings, or sculptures as your own. Submitting a paper purchased from a research or term paper service, including the internet. Using information from web sources without proper attribution. While obvious cheating and copying are easy to spot and prevent, plagiarism can be much trickier. The most common one is word-for-word plagiarism. This happens when words are copied verbatim from the original source and quotations are neither used nor bibliographic references given. Even if you give the author credit, you cannot copy their exact language without indicating it is theirs by putting it in quotation marks. When you paraphrase by copying portions from the original document or change key words and phrases but retain the original content of the source, it is still plagiarism. To avoid plagiarism when quoting a source, the author must do three things. Accurately quote the original author's words, and close the quotation within quotation marks. Follow each quotation with a citation of the page number. Have a works cited page at the end of your work per MLA style. Paraphrasing from multiple sources and fitting them together, also known as patchwork plagiarism, is also dishonest. Anytime you use someone else's ideas but put them in your own words, you are paraphrasing that source and plagiarizing. Although the words are yours, the ideas come from another source, and that source must be documented with a parenthetical citation and a work cited at the end of the paper per MLA style. Failure to do so is plagiarism. How can you avoid plagiarism? Begin assignments with your own thoughts, ideas, and experiences. Seek only appropriate help from others, such as clarifying the assignment, brainstorming in collaboration with peers, and proofreading. You do not have to cite information your readers would already know or can find easily in general reference sources. Start research, outlining, and writing of your speech plan or paper early enough to ensure there is enough time to do your best work. Keep track of the sources that you use and correctly document sources early on to save time and prevent mistakes. It is easy to unintentionally plagiarize when you aren't clear whether your notes are your own words or someone else's words. Use quotes to begin and end an author's words. Remember, changing the words of the original source and making them your own words is not sufficient to avoid plagiarism. Verbally cite sources when delivering a presentation. Prepare a works cited list by following acceptable documentation procedures such as MLA or APA. While you learn from others and use that knowledge to create new ideas, remember to always give credit to those who led the way. While most resources in an academic setting are covered under fair use, you always should check for copyright usage at the source location. While giving credit for ideas and words is easy to remember, do not forget to give credit for images, drawings, videos, audio, or other resources that you use in your speeches and written work. In the case of images, you want to use images that are protected under the Creative Commons license, which allows for non-commercial use with credit. So, for example, if you are using an image from Google Images on the topic of diversity in your presentation, a lot of images show up. Not all of these images can be used by you or someone else. Click on the tab titled Search Tools. You will see an option titled Usage Rights. When you click on this, a list of options pop up. The default setting is not filtered by license. Usually one would select the last option, labeled for non-commercial reuse, as it gives the most flexibility. When you click on this, you will notice the images change, and now only the images that have permission to be used for non-commercial purposes show up, which means you can use one of these images with proper citation and credit in your presentation or essay. Don't try to hide the fact that you've consulted sources. A well-developed presentation or paper often uses support from other sources. Done skillfully, this can add credibility to your speeches and written work. Citations, along with a works cited list or bibliography, show that you have done your research and reviewed a variety of credible sources. Honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility are all vital to being a positive force in the academic community.